And now I would like to welcome Hannah Lederman from the Texas Conservation Alliance. She is the Education Program Coordinator, and today she's going to share with us some information about grade school education courses on bird safe curriculum. Take it away.
Okay, cool. So yes, this is the introduction to, or the overview rather, of the Lights Out Texas curriculum. I want to start by giving a shout out to our partners in this curriculum. Travis Audubon and Defenders of Wildlife did the majority of the 3rd through 5th grade curriculum, and then Audubon Texas is the website, or they are hosting the curriculum download on their website. So yes, this is me, Hannah Lederman, Lights Out Fort Worth and Education Program Coordinator for the Texas Conservation Alliance. My degree is in conservation biology, so this is really cool for me that I get to do this, and I really love educating people. So this is really, I love my job. So the kind of two halves of the education program with the Texas Conservation Alliance are this formal education and then our informal education. So our formal education program is aligned with the learning standards for Texas. Um, and that includes modules for 3rd through 5th grades and then 6th through 8th grades. And then we also have this little bonus story game that's called For the Birds. Those in partnership with Maritimus Magazine. It's a wonderful story game where players get to pick a character, and then that character makes decisions that affect migratory birds. And then the players also get to see how those decisions affect the birds from the bird's perspective. It's illustrated wonderfully. I always love to talk about that because it's a wonderful tool. The other half of our kind of education program is this informal education. So we're currently developing an outreach toolkit for informal educators, such as nature centers, master naturalists, zoos, anyone who wants to talk about lights out. We want them to be able to have accurate information and be able to talk about it confidently. And so that'll include things like talking points, and then also um, materials to make props to be able to go out and talk about lights out. So here's kind of the big overview of the lessons. So in the 3rd through 5th grade lessons, they are Why Birds Matter, Bird Migration, and How to Help Birds. And then in the 6th through 8th grade lessons, Adaptations for Migration, Disruptions to Energy Flow, and Solutions to Biodiversity. So it really kind of goes over not just bird collisions, but everything to do with that. Obviously, in the 3rd through 5th grade age groups, it's broken down a little bit more to make it easier to digest for them, but it goes over everything regarding migratory birds. This is just a quick peek into the folders that we have. So each of the 6 folders look very similar to this. We wanted the entire package to be as ready to use as possible. So obviously all of them include a written out lesson plan and then a slideshow, which the slideshows are just like ready to throw up on the screen with all of the information in them. And then supplementary materials and handouts when they're applicable to the lesson. Um, One of the supplementary materials that I did want to point out is this 3rd row here, the definitions of scientific terms. That's something that's in the 3rd through 5th grade modules, and it's basically just a mini dictionary of all of the terms that are used throughout the lesson, um, defined in the context in which they're used. So that can be handed out to the students or just a reference material for the teachers to be able to talk about these things and have the definitions easily accessible for the students. Some of the terms might not have been used before, or they're unfamiliar to the students. So that was something that was designed to make it easier for them. This is one of the activities, or the opening activity for one of the 6th through 8th grade lessons, but I think it kind of shows the overall goal of the modules, which is place-based education and really connecting with students that what they're learning about is something that's happening in Texas. So like I live in the DFW area, so really connecting that bird collisions and bird migration is happening here. So on the left over here, we have this map that shows the population density of Texas, and then in the middle, it's the light pollution map of Texas. So when you put them side by side, you can really see that where the people are is where the light pollution is. And then when comparing that map to the map on the far right, all of the red dots are points where birds have been logged in our Lights Out Texas monitoring project on iNaturalist. And you can see how where the birds are logged really lines up with both the light pollution map and the population density map. So this really connects that, like I said, where the people are is where the bird collisions are happening because of the light pollution. This is the kind of handout that goes with those maps. So students are encouraged to write about 3 observations about the data that they're presented, and then 3 questions about the data that they're presented. And this is something that is brought up a lot throughout these modules. This is the inquiry part. This is asking questions and sharing stories, not only between students, but between the students and the teacher as well, to kind of open the conversation about conservation and birds, bird migration, all of the different topics that are covered, and really just having the conversation. So it's an active learning and not just a passive, less like a lecture that they're getting taught. This is one of the activities that, again, is like a little bit more active. The students have to get up and do some things. So this is an engineering design challenge. So the students have, they make a paper airplane and they have to put at least 4 paper clips in the paper airplane to represent stored fat in the bird. So this activity will come after the lesson on adaptations for migration. So the students have to throw their paper airplane and try to get it to migrate 25 feet, and that would signify that their bird has completed its full migration journey. Um, and then after this activity is over, the students get to regroup and kind of talk about, what things worked and what things didn't work, and then why did these things work and why did they not work? Um, and then compare those things to different adaptations in real birds. I think this is a really fun activity. Our curriculum consultant, Meredith, who designed this, um, her and I are giving a talk actually 2 weeks from today, and we're taking this lesson to the group of science teachers. So we're going to have science teachers do this as well. So it's really adaptable to kind of any space that is talking about this topic. Again, kind of going into the well-roundedness of this education program. This is a postcard activity that students do, and we have it listed for the 6th through 8th grade lesson, but I think this could really, it's an extension activity that could go for any of the grade levels. And the students will draw a picture, kind of wrapping up everything that they've learned. So this would go at the very end of the lessons. And this student drew a couple of little pictures talking about light pollution and how it affects migratory birds and collisions and that. And then they will write a letter to their city council member, and then send it to their city council member and try to advocate for the protection of migratory birds and implementing policies that will help birds be able to migrate safely. And this is kind of the first step into that activism, and inspiring the stewardship in the students by saying, well, you're going to use your creativity and use your science knowledge and use your writing knowledge and create this postcard, and then the teacher can send them all out and say, we did this and we made our voices heard, and we're being activists while we're being scientists. So everything that I've covered is within the 6th through 8th grade lesson plans, but I want to also talk about the 3rd through 5th grade lesson plans. This is the opening activity for the 3rd through 5th lesson plans, and it kind of echoes the same conversation thing, even though it might be a little bit simpler, but it's also bringing again, the like realness of this is happening around me. So this lesson opens by asking students, what kinds of birds have you seen recently? And what were they doing? And where do you see them? And there's a picture, the opening slide of this, I should have screenshotted it, but there's the collage of birds that are birds in Texas. So the students have like a little bit of, have you ever seen any of these, in case they can't think of anything. but it opens that conversation and also tells them, migration is something that's happening at my house. It's happening. These birds are flying over my neighborhood at night, and there might not be window collisions happening at my house, but they could be happening at my neighbor's house, or they could be happening at one of the businesses that I passed on the way to school. And I think it kind of makes the whole thing, again, more real, that it's happening here and it's not just a concept that we're learning about in school. It really, kind of brings it home. This is one of the lessons from the third through, or the activities rather, from the third through fifth grade lessons. And this is a really active activity. So this is like a life-size board game where the students get to be the game piece. So the students will pick a bird that they want to represent through this game and roll these dice and move that many spaces around this life-size board game and get to encounter different challenges or even good things that happen during bird migration. So this picture on the left here says, you arrive at a large lake where there is plenty of clean water, food, and shelter. And then it has them do some like silly little, actions to get them up and moving. Um, but not all of them are good. Some of them are, you arrive to what was a forest last year, and now it's not a forest anymore. And so you don't have anything to eat and you don't have anywhere to sleep. And so you're really struggling. Or some of them are, oh, you got confused because there's a window that's really reflective and the lights are really bright. And you're really confused and you hit the window and you don't make it, you pass away. So then that student would have to start over, or, the activity would end. But then it again leads into this conversation about, you know, migration for birds is not easy. Even it's more than just we're gonna fly on our path and then maybe get distracted by some lights and hit a building. There's other challenges to it. And it's again one of those activities that really gets the kids up and moving and learning and talking with their friends and talking with the teacher as they're playing this game. Um, this was actually, these photos are from an informal education space. This was done by the Ditch Water Discovery Center in Stephenville. And so they did this as an activity. So I think a lot of these activities, even though we have them here for formal education, can really be implemented in non-formal education as well. I'm going to end on these two photographs. So on the left here, this is just a typical tabling setup that I will bring to lights out or any type of events. This was at a night sky celebration event that I went to. And I really want to mention this prop right here on kind of like the middle left of the table. So this is a mirror that we use to talk about reflective glass, kind of after we've mentioned how the lights disorient the birds and end up or cause them to end up in the cities. Then we talk about, when you look at a skyscraper or even your house windows, they look reflective and they kind of look like a mirror. So we use this mirror to kind of display that as best we can. And we talk about, you know, we as people know that what we're seeing in the mirror is not real. If we see a tree in the mirror, we know that it's not a real tree. But the birds, I always say, I'm not a bird, so I can't tell you exactly what they're seeing when they're looking at this. But the birds don't understand that what they're seeing in the mirror or in the window is not real. So we talk about that, and then we talk about how putting, bird-friendly solutions on the glass. This left-hand half of the mirror is treated with bird-friendly dots. We talk about how that disrupts the reflection on the glass and lets the birds know that that's not a safe place for them to fly and helps them avoid the windows. So then moving to this picture on the right, these two little girls came over with their family and they listened to everything that I had to say, and they were being respectful and listening actively. And then I asked them if they had any questions about anything, and they said no. And I said, okay, have a good night. I'll be here. So then maybe about an hour later, I had stepped away from the table, and when I came back, I heard them going over that talk that I had done with them with the mirror, and they were holding the little bird prop and holding the mirror up and talking about it and flying the little bird around and talking to each other about it. And it just really brought back the thought that kids are like sponges and they were understanding what I was saying even if they weren't engaging with me. And my goal when I table is always, if I feel like one person learned something, that I feel accomplished for the day. So this was a really big accomplishment that they, just came over on their own and were playing with it, but they were talking about it in the way that I had talked about it to them. So that really made me feel good. I really like to share that story. I know I'm almost at my time, so I will end it there. There's my contact information. Thank you for listening to me.